Third-ranked Florida State is set to face off against the Boston College Eagles this Saturday, but Hurricane Lee may have different plans. We're going to talk about a few potential routes as far as rescheduling this game if needed, but we're also going to go into what we expect to see on the field throughout this matchup, so let's dive in. FSU, as of right now, is set to hit the road and head to Boston College for a noon kickoff this Saturday. However, as Hurricane Lee presents some challenges and uncertainty, we're waiting on an official announcement from the ACC in terms of how to go about all of this. Now, like most hurricanes do, the trajectory has changed several times, and it still seems to be largely unknown. Frankly, I would have thought we'd already have heard news of an official rescheduling by now. It's Wednesday night at the time of recording this, but there are lots of moving parts, and the ACC has proven itself to not be too competent when it's needed. So some tracks have the Hurricane pushing further east, which would be pushing away from Boston, while some have it doing the exact opposite and tracking more towards the west, more towards Boston. Now, as of right now, it's not supposed to really impact the Boston area until Saturday morning. If I had to go out on a limb here, I'd say this game will not be getting played Saturday at noon, like it's currently scheduled. I think there's quite a few routes you can go with this, and frankly, I think Florida State and Boston College both pretty much get the shaft in either option, but there are certain options I like better than others. I think moving this game to Friday night would be a good option, and at the time of recording this, I'd say this is the most likely option. It would require Florida State playing another short week, this time on the road, which I don't necessarily love, but it would also mean playing this game without dealing with too much of the storm, without going through a ton of hoops to reschedule multiple games with multiple teams. The best part about this way is that FSU will also get an extra day of rest in preparation for the Clemson game. Again, I don't hate this option, although another short week does kind of suck. Hopefully Florida State can eventually get back to playing a normal schedule while playing football on every Saturday. There's also the option of moving this game to Tallahassee instead. Now, I'm not really sure what all goes into making something like this happen. It does seem like a smart solution, getting your team and players out of potential danger, kind of missing the Hurricane altogether in theory. I do find it kind of ironic that Boston boys may have to come to Florida to get out of the way of a hurricane, especially when Florida just dealt with a hurricane like 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure how thrilled Boston College would be with this option, as of course they lose their home field advantage and would have to quickly make some new unexpected travel arrangements. Now, some paths for the hurricane do show potentially pushing up north after a few hours, so there's a chance that the weather could be significantly better in Boston by Saturday night. So this all could just be as simple as pushing the kickoff back a few hours and continuing everything as normal. If somehow things do take a turn for the worse weather-wise, or scheduling conflicts cause this game to not get played this weekend, for one, that really sucks. I really wanted to have this game before Clemson just so the guys can get some more reps in and clean some things up. But it could also mean that the ACC would just straight up cancel this game. Now, if they did that, this game wouldn't go against either team, but I still really hope that isn't what they decided to do. I'm not even sure how likely it is, but again, the ACC has showed a willingness to do the dumbest things possible, so we'll see. I hate this option as a Florida State fan, but also just as a fan of college football in general. If you're watching this, you know we wait all year for these 12 games. And even though this game should be a cakewalk for Florida State, I still want it played, and I still want to watch this team go out there and light it up. I still want to see them get extra reps in. This being an ACC game could make things a bit fuzzy with conference standings as well. I don't think the playoff committee would have too much of an issue with it, since I think everybody knows how this game is probably going to go, but it's just something to keep in mind. Now, there's another path to rescheduling this game on our bye week, which is on September 30th. And basically, we would just take our bye week now. This would involve Boston College rescheduling their game with Virginia as well, so again, a lot of moving parts here. Hopefully the hurricane just turns back out to the ocean. It doesn't impact anyone. Hopefully they still play it this weekend and all goes well. Of course, as always, safety and preparation are most important. This is just football at the end of the day, so thoughts and prayers go out to anyone who might be affected by the storm. So now, what if this game does get played? How does it play out? What do we want to see? Of course, a Florida State win is always something you want to see, but I know some folks had an issue with certain aspects of the team's performance last week against Southern Miss. Some of them I do agree with, and we definitely hope to see a lot of that cleaned up. Mainly, I'm looking at Johnny Wilson and the receivers in this game. Now, with everything as far as the day, time, and place being a bit up in the air right now, we're just going to assume the weather is going to be fairly normal just for argument's sake. Despite this offense putting up 111 points through the first two games, in both games they've kind of gotten off to a bit of a slow start. You definitely like to see that change here, and I love to see Jordan come out of the gate just red hot. Now, Johnny has had, I believe, 7 or 8 drops in these last 2 games. Something's going on with him, and I think it's all in between the ears. I think it's all mental. Luckily, it sounds like he's had some really nice practices this week, so hopefully he's starting to get it all kind of sorted out and get back to his true form. All the more reason why, if I'm calling plays, I'm force feeding Johnny Wilson the football this week against Boston College. Something's got to snap him out of this funk. So I look at it as I'm trying to get him some catches to build his confidence back, get him into a good rhythm. If I'm Mike Norvell, I'm telling Jordan Travis, you have one read and it's to Johnny. Then I would tell Johnny, hey, I'm getting you the ball. You're going to have the opportunity. So if you really want to go out here and have 9 drops against Boston College, then that's on you. But you're going to have the opportunity to figure it all out. Obviously, I'm being a bit exaggerant here, but I do honestly think Mike Norvell makes it a point to get Johnny back to his usual form this week before we head into that Clemson game. He did have over 100 yards receiving in that LSU game, but still has some rough drops, and then has 0 catches for 0 yards last weekend against Southern Miss. It sounds crazy to say when you're averaging over 55 points a game, but we still really haven't seen this offense gel all the way just yet. We haven't seen them string together a full 4 quarters with your guys playing up to their potential. We know this offense is special. We've seen glimpses of it. We've seen it in the second half against LSU. We know it could be even more special if they can find a way to put it all together and find a good groove with each other. Imagine a fully healthy and confident Johnny Wilson who's got his mojo back coupled with Keon Coleman on the other side. It could be nuts, and I do think / hope that we see at least a little bit of that this weekend. I think this goes hand in hand with Jordan as well. Obviously, if his receivers aren't making the catches they should be, he can't put up the stats he should be, and then it makes it harder for him to find a good rhythm himself. Jordan has Heisman aspirations, and this team has national championship aspirations. So you definitely like to see them figure it out. Now, I'm not worried at all. I think they absolutely will clean all this up. And again, even the 2013 team had some slow starts. That's why I think you try to take advantage of this week's matchup and use it to work out a few kinks and find a way to get this offense to click into that next gear. So my predictions outside of the weather threats, I think we see them try to come out hot and learn and figure it all out on the fly, Johnny Wilson included. I think you see a heavy passing game, and we have a much better idea of where this team is heading into the Clemson matchup. I think Florida State will win against Boston College on any field, any day, any time. I just hope we really get to see this game played, and I hope we get to see it played this weekend for all the reasons I just mentioned. But what do you guys think? Does the game get moved to Friday night? Does it get canceled? Does Johnny Wilson get his mojo back this weekend? Let me know in the comments, and let's talk Noles.